Do you want to get started with strength training but don't know where to start? Hey everyone, it's Mark here from Elite Strength Melbourne, and in this video I'm going to be showing you, if you're a beginner, how to get started with strength training. Strength training has become a lot more popular these days. People are turning away from the traditional HIIT F45 type structure, and they're looking into more of a strength training type of program to help with their health and fitness goals. So in this video, I'm going to be going through a bit of a basic guide about how you can get started with strength training if you're a beginner or if you're kind of just getting started in the space. So what I'll be going through a bit of a slideshow. You can follow along. I recommend you check out the visuals as we go through. And if you'd like more free content just like this, then head over to our free Facebook page where you can ask questions about strength training, nutrition, and lifestyle factors. One of the coaches from Elite Strength Melbourne can get back to you, and you can check out some free content within that group. I'll drop a link in the description below so you can get access to that free Facebook group. So let's get into it. What we're going to go through is this presentation, how to get started with strength training for beginners. All right, so what we're going to cover in this talk today, we're going to be going through the benefits of strength training and also hypertrophy training. Hypertrophy is just a term used to describe an increase in muscle size. Basically, whenever we go into the gym to lift weights, there should be two main goals that we're trying to achieve. The first one is to get stronger. Okay, that's one of the main reasons why we are doing strength training. And also muscle size. Okay, muscle size is when the muscles get bigger, also known as hypertrophy training. So we're going to be going into the benefits of those two things. And then the main part is going into programming consideration. So what type of movements should you be doing, the frequency of those movements, the volume, the intensity, and ways to progress those movements as well, so you can start and keep seeing results over time. If you stick around to the end of this video, there is a bonus that you can get access to. I'm going to show you how you can access a free strength training program so you can start getting results straight away and moving forward with your health and fitness goals. If you don't know about us, we are Elite Strength Melbourne. We're located in Maribyrnong, Victoria. We've been doing strength training and nutrition coaching for about 7 years now. We also have an online component so you can get involved with us if you are anywhere within Australia or within the world. And these are some of the results we've had with our members over the last 3 years. Okay, we started doing this around 2019, I believe. Okay, cool. So benefits of strength training and hypertrophy. Okay, so these are going to be quite different than, say, your conventional HIIT or F45 kind of circuit training sort of training. A lot of that type of training does, tend to promote similar things that I'm talking about now. But to be honest, the results which come out of those gyms are a lot more suboptimal. Okay, if your main goal is to improve muscle tone, is to get stronger, improve in technique, and get stronger in things like pull-ups or push-ups, get stronger squats and deadlifts, you need to be doing strength training. Also, from a health perspective, strength and power is the main thing that's going to drop as you get older. If you're someone who's not doing any sort of strength training, if you're going into your 40s, 50s, and 60s, then you'll find that your strength, your muscle mass, and your power will just drop off. It's very important to maintain these physical attributes, especially as we age. So one of the main benefit you're going to see from strength training is hypertrophy. Okay, now hypertrophy is just a term used to describe an increase in muscle size, and an increase in muscle size coupled with a low amount of body fat is the best way to improve muscle tone. Improving muscle tone is one of the most common goals we hear when people want to get started in the gym and with our classes. They want to improve muscle tone. Okay, very common goal. Now, the best way to improve that, okay, is to increase the amount of muscle that you have, but also have a low amount of body fat on your body. These two things coupled with a low amount of body fat is the best way to enhance the look of muscle tone. So that's benefit number one. The next one is that strength training is the best way to improve your maximal muscle strength. This might seem pretty obvious, but if you're looking to get better at things like back squats, deadlifts, push-ups, if you're just looking to feel stronger, then strength training is the best way to go about this. Other benefits. So we've got obviously increased muscle strength, increased range of motion. Okay. You can actually get more flexible from doing strength training, because if you're going into things like deep squats or doing things like deadlifts where you're working on things like hamstring length and hip length, it can actually increase your range of motion. Injury prevention. So because we're taking the muscle through a full range of motion through a very controlled manner, it can actually help protect the muscle because we're building up the strength and the capacity of that muscle. Increased muscle size, I spoke about before, so hypertrophy. Improvement in bone density. So especially for the females, they tend to reduce their bone density as they age a lot more than males. But if you do strength training with a high enough intensity, it's going to help improve your bone density and your bone strength. Greater visual change within the mirror. Okay, so again, if you're looking to enhance muscle tone, get more of a visual look. If you're looking to get more shapely around your shoulders, around your back, around your chest, or around your legs, strength training is the best way to tackle that. Lastly, a greater transference over to activities of daily living, also ADLs. Okay, if you have a very physical job, if you're moving things around, if your job requires you to carry things, to lift things, to push things, then doing strength training is going to be very beneficial for you. And you might say you do enough of that at work, but I guarantee that if you engage in regular strength training, you're going to be learning about proper technique, you're going to be getting stronger, and it's going to be transferring over to your everyday life. All right, so when you're starting strength training as a beginner, okay, what's a really important mindset to first of all understand is that it's going to take time. Okay, strength training has a fair bit of technique and also adaptations that come with it. It's different than, say, if you jump onto a spin bike, or if you do some battle ropes, okay, or if you go for a run. There are techniques attached to them. We can pick it up pretty quickly. Okay, we can jump on the bike, we can cycle at a pretty good intensity. We can get battle ropes and we can kind of flick them around pretty easily. Strength training has a lot of technique and a lot of different and varied movements to understand. So it's very important to establish that your first 3 to 6 months as a beginner is just going to be learning about technique and how the movement feels and works. Okay, so if you're learning how to do a bench press for the very first time or a squat for the very first time, the first 3 to 6 months is just going to be learning the technique, getting the range of motion right, getting the feel of it right. And then once those movements are ingrained and they're moving really well, then you can start to improve intensity, increase load, and that's where you start to get the bigger improvements with your strength and with your muscle size and your coordination. So treat the first 3 months as just a learning phase, okay, just to get you through and create that solid foundation. There's a lot of what we call neural adaptations within the first 3 months. So it's just your nervous system learning about the movement itself, you becoming more coordinated, you just getting better with timing of that particular movement. Okay, so when we do a bench press for the very first time, we're very shaky. We don't know where the bar goes. It's coming down all wobbly. We can't exert force very well because we can't feel the bar that well. So again, in the first 3 months, we're getting those neural changes associated with that particular movement. We're learning like which weights to use, like how heavy should I go for a bench press or for a squat or for an overhead press. We're also learning about intensity. Intensity is a very important part of getting stronger and increasing muscle size. So how heavy should I go and how much should I push during a given set? We'll talk about that a bit later. After that, 3 to 6 months and also onwards, so you're going to start to see better changes in strength and in muscle size and in muscle tone. Okay, you're going to be starting to implement better technique. You're going to be seeing improvements in your muscle size. You're going to be seeing improvements in the visual change within the mirror. But obviously, if you're looking to get that visual change in the mirror, increase muscle size and tone up, this needs to be coupled with the right diet. So depending on what diet you need, if you're going into a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus and how many calories you should be eating, then that's going to be a different part altogether. If you want to know about calories, how many calories you should be eating, your macro split, all those really important things that come in addition to strength training, then there's a separate video. I'll drop it in the link below, and you can learn how to calculate your own calories and your own macro split. Okay, moving on. So programming consideration. So programming and strength training, you've got things like the movements, your frequency, your intensity, your volume, and all those sort of things. Okay, making sure that the program is well laid out so you can start to see those improvements within the first 3 to 6 months. If strength training is something that you'll be doing sporadically every couple of weeks, you're probably not going to get the best benefit. Okay, so let's go through movement type first of all. What we find is that compound is best. Okay, so think things like which use multiple joints at once. So we've got things like bench press, overhead presses, barbell, dumbbell rows, squats, lunges, Romanian deadlifts, or machine-based variations. This is a lot more time efficient if you're going to be doing each and every muscle group individually. So just say you'll be doing a pec fly for your chests, a shoulder exercise for the shoulders, and then like a tricep exercise just for the triceps. Those are 3 exercises right there. Whereas if we just include a bench press or some sort of like horizontal pushing motion, we can hit all those muscle groups together. Okay, so compound movements is great because you get to hit multiple muscle groups at once, and they require a lot more coordination. So there's a greater learning effect from those. It's going to be harder. It's going to be harder initially, but the payoff and the benefit for strength training and getting stronger and bigger is a lot greater later on down the track. So those are the movements. Okay, you can do any of these with like free weights like dumbbells and barbells, or obviously going to a gym as well. Frequency. So how many times a week should you be doing strength training? This depends on your training split. Training split is basically like within one session, which muscle groups are you working? Okay. So for example, if you're doing a full body split, which is basically within one session, you're doing every single muscle or most of the muscles. So you're doing exercise for your upper body, pushing motion, pulling motions, and same with the lower body, pushing and pulling motions. If you're doing a full body split, usually it's around like 4 to 6, 4 to 8 exercises. You can get away with the frequency of around 2 times per week. If you're doing an upper lower split, so day 1, you're just doing your upper body, day 2, you're doing your lower body. In that case, you need to be training 4 times a week because you're loading each muscle group 2 times per week. Okay, so 4 in total. Volume. So volume is easily determined by how many sets we're doing each and every week. For a general rule, around a good starting point for beginners is around 8 to 12 sets per muscle group per week. So if you're doing your legs, if you're looking to get stronger in your quads, glutes, and hamstrings, loading those muscles for a total of 8 to 12 sets per muscle group per week is going to be ideal in what you're looking for volume. Intensity. So intensity is how hard we're pushing. Okay, it's dictated a lot by the load on the bar and on the dumbbell. How much weight on the load or on the dumbbell is going to dictate the intensity that we're working within that given set and that session. As a general rule, we're going to be working within a range of around 6 to 20 reps per set. If you want to base it off a percentage, okay, if you do know what your 1 rep max is, 50 to 75% as a beginner is fine. But a really good way is to use what's called RIR, also known as reps in reserve. Reps in reserve is a bit of a hard thing for beginners to start to apply practically. It's one of those things you just have to start doing and trying out within the weights room. And then as you get better, stronger, and more experienced, you'll understand a bit more about your reps in reserve. Reps in reserve is basically this. If I do a set of 15, if I'm looking to do a set of, say, 12 to 15 for a bench press, and I set my reps in reserve of around 2 to 3 reps, okay? If I'm aiming for around that 10 to 15 rep range for a bench press, my rep range is 2 to 3, by the end of my set, so if I get to 15 reps, I finish my 15th rep, and I should have felt like I could have done only an extra 2 or 3 reps on top of that 15th rep. So with the given weight I have, I should not be able to do more than 18 reps with that given load. if I can do more than 18 reps, just say I can do 25, but I set my rep range at no more than 15, then my reps in reserve is 10 as opposed to 2 to 3. What has been shown in research is that reps from reserve of around 0 to 6 are the best for increasing muscle size and strength. Okay. If you're lifting a weight for 15 reps, but you could have done it for 30, the weight's probably a little bit too light. You're not getting the full benefits of strength training. So I recommend you go up and adjust that weight so you can stick within that 2 to 3 reps in reserve mark. Progression is basically like how you change things week by week. So what you do week 1, 2, 3, 4. What we want to be doing is applying the principle of progressive overload. Progressive overload is basically each and every week we make some change to our program, which is going to challenge us a little bit more. And that's going to cause us to get stronger, better coordination, or greater muscle size. So in the case of strength training, what we can do is we can add in sets. So just say week 1, you're doing 8 sets per muscle group. Week 2, you might be doing 9. Week 3, you might be doing 10, just like that. You can increase the reps. So if week 1, you did like 8 to 10 reps of, say, a bench press, week 2 might be 10 to 12, okay, increasing the rep scheme. Increasing the load, so just make it heavier. If week 1, you went 30 kilos in a bench press, week 2, you might be doing 31, 32 and a half kilos. You can do a combination of any of these, usually every 1 to 2 weeks, but usually it depends on your goals. As a beginner, probably what we recommend is that you might be increasing things like sets and reps. Load might come a little bit later on when you're a bit more advanced with your technique. Cool. That's basically how you design a strength training program. Now, if you're new to strength training, if you've never done it before, what we've done is we've made a free strength training program. It's a 1-week program example. What you can do is you can download that program. You can start getting stuck into it at your gym or at home. Or if you'd like to check us out at Elite Strength Melbourne, if you're looking to get more guidance around strength training or nutrition, then you can come here and you can do some strength training here. Okay. What I'll do is I'm going to add the link to our free Facebook group. If you go to that free Facebook group, you can get access to our free strength training guide for 1 week. Lastly, if you'd like to learn a bit more about our gym, what you can do is you can book a call, a free 15-minute consultation over the phone. We can talk about your current situation with health and fitness, what your goals are, and if Elite Strength Melbourne is the right fit for you, and you can come check us out and get started with strength training. Thank you so much for checking out this episode, and I'll see you next time.